But they got arrested, Brian.
They did. They did get arrested.
That's where the uproar came in, is that they wasn't doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
They were just sitting there. I think they tried to go to the bathroom. They was denied the use of the bathroom because they haven't bought anything at the store.
Yep.
And then the police was called.
Mm-hmm.
The police asked them to leave, and they wouldn't leave.
The police were called after several times the manager had expressed that to them. They had, one of the gentlemen actually said, "You are nothing. Mm-hmm. You're just a $40,000 a year employee."
But we're gonna get into that, right? Because I know many times that I've sat in Starbucks or just little places, right? And usually get a water, you want to get something complimentary to be there. Yeah. But I've seen people there that they don't buy anything. Yeah. Because you come there, just catch the internet real quick, you wait for somebody, you jump in and you jump out. I have never had a manager come over to me and say, or come to anybody, whether it was white or black, and say, "Hey, could you please leave the establishment?" Mm-hmm. It's Starbucks. Right. It's Starbucks. How are you going to tell somebody to leave? I don't see a sign on the door that if you don't buy anything.
Like I said, I've been asked that question. I've been asked to leave, and if I didn't purchase
at Starbucks?
At a Starbucks, yep. I sure have. And they were busy. I was sitting there. I was waiting on somebody, and I was going to wait to get a coffee when they showed up. But
go ahead and put the Starbucks, because I still sound like you still supporting Starbucks, man.
Yep. And I just decided, I don't want to cause a stink. I want to be respectful towards the organization. It is.
You thought about all that during that time?
Yeah, no, because I
thought in your mind you don't want to cause a stink.
I don't want to cause a stink. I want to be respectful. I want to follow the rules.
So you're trying to say that the black guys wasn't following the rules?
They became belligerent with the manager.
But at what point though? But see, we don't know that.
Once they asked, the police report actually states that one of the gentlemen became belligerent towards the manager, that the manager said, you need to either leave or purchase something, or else I'm going to, at that point in time, call the cops. And then he said,
"Keep your coffee cup right there. Don't be high, because I want everybody to see that you still supporting Starbucks like it's cool."
That he said, "That's fine. You're just a $40,000 a year employee. Do what you need to do."
So that's cause for them to get arrested.
Well, at that point in time, they would then be considered trespassing.
But trespassing how?
Because they are on a private. Starbucks is a privately owned organization, whether or not it's a franchise or whether or not it is a corporate environment.
See, man, you finna butt heads real quick here, Brian, because that's open to the public. Okay. And even though it is a privately owned organization, that's for stocks and stuff. Yeah. If you got something that's open up for the public, okay, that's for the public. So my whole thing is...
Yeah, but you go to a Waffle House down the street here, and it says no shirts, no shoes, no service.
It says that.
Right.
On Starbucks, it do not say, Brian.
Individual Starbucks do post different policies.
Well, it wasn't on that one.
Depending on whether or not it's a franchise or it's corporately owned.
Okay, but it didn't say it on that one.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
But I'm saying, if it was, they would have made the news. I haven't said it was read anywhere in the world. If you don't buy anything, you got to get out of here.
But the news is only reporting the video afterwards.
I understand that, but you reported afterwards on the police report, what they wrote. So that's afterwards.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, if it's not posted up there that you have to buy something before you come in, which I say is understood, and the guys should have purchased something, but because they didn't, how did they end up in handcuffs? That is my problem. The police come, you arrest these guys because...
The police come, and then the police on 3 separate occasions said, "This is a situation, please comply. Leave or They stated that we're waiting on somebody, that we're not going to leave. They told the police officers that they were not going to leave. So at that point in time, the police officers tried to defuse the situation 3 times.
Okay, but let me ask you a question. And I'm being devil's advocate because I understand both sides of this. If they're not doing anything, there's no law, rhyme, or reason of why they should leave. Why should you arrest these guys?
If that particular location has a policy of not allowing somebody to stay there without purchasing, if they're just loitering at that point in
but
time,
they wasn't loitering, they was waiting. They ain't like they're trying to...
If you are sitting anywhere not conducting business on a private establishment that serves goods of any sort, you're just sitting there, you're not contributing to that environment unless that environment clearly states that you can sit here, you would be loitering.
Let me ask you this question, Brian. Do you think if they was white sitting there in, that casual clothes, somebody came over there and they would have got arrested?
In this particular situation, yes, I do. I do not believe that race has an issue with this. I think that race has been turned into an issue with this because it happened to be 2 black men, and there was a stink that was made about it by patrons.
And what was the patrons complaining about?
There's like, why are you arresting these 2 black men? They said black men,
right?
Not instead of men who were sitting there were being belligerent to the management.
But people are asking the question because why are they being arrested? What did they do?
Right, and I just explained what they did.
Yeah, but
the police officers have no obligation to explain that after the fact of why these individuals are being arrested.
If they was really waiting on somebody, okay, I understand what you're saying, but I got to play devil advocate here. You're waiting on somebody. What time are they coming?
Right.
Okay.
Apparently they've been there for a while.
But I'm saying, but what time are they coming? Okay, when they come, do you mind leaving if you're not going to purchase something? Those 2 seats wouldn't hurt nobody. You didn't have to call the police for that.
It was the
point the manager wanted to be right.
Well, no, it was the fact that they rebutted what the manager said, the policy of that particular location. Now, and this is the problem with Starbucks, is they gave that up to the management and the franchise owners of what they want to do. So apparently it's not a full corporate-wide policy.
Right.
It's something that they allow depending upon the areas.
Right.
Because certain areas are busier than others, and so they have the ability to enforce. Now, there are Starbucks, there are other businesses out there that do allow you to come and become a patron.
How did this manager know that, okay, you got 2 people sitting here when their business partner came and whoever was coming, they weren't going to buy coffee for everybody?
Well, it was the fact that she had noticed that they were there for a while. She then went up to them and asked them, hey, we have a policy. They then, at that point in time, because she asked, that their attitudes changed. And because of their reaction to her asking.
Because I'm quite sure there was other people sitting in there, probably the same way. We don't know. But I'm quite sure that if somebody comes to me and I'm looking around, y'all ain't picking on nobody else or saying nothing to somebody else and they've been sitting over there. They don't have anything. Why are you asking me this question? That's the problem.
Well, if this was really an issue, if this was really a racism issue, if that was what behind that manager wouldn't have a job anymore. That manager is not working at that particular
location. But we
location.
don't know that because you can't show racism in that point. She can say she was doing her job, but we don't know what other white patrons sitting there not doing anything too.
But why does it have to be white patron versus black patron? Why can't it just be patron versus? And I think that's what the issue is, which why this is getting so much traction is because we're pushing this.
I'm not pushing. I'm asking a question.
Right, and I'm just pointing out.
Okay, but I'm asking the question, Brian. I've been in a restaurant myself personally where I was waiting on somebody and I wouldn't order until they got there. Guess what, Brian? They were late. So I ordered water until they got there. So that could have been their situation. So
and then they could have ordered water. Why did they have to?
But I'm just saying at the point when you see a patron sitting there, they're causing a big stink. If they're there for 1 hour or 2 hours, you come over and say, "Hey, y'all been here for an hour, right?" If you're busy at that point, people are gonna be courteous. But if you're asking only me and you haven't talked to, you're not moving around to everybody else that's just sitting there. Come on, man.
If you're sitting in a place for over an hour.
I've been there.
Right.
Because my appointment was late.
Right.
So you sit there.
Right.
And you don't order till they get there.
Yep.
So why am I going to be arrested for that?
It's not that you were arrested. It's not the fact that they were arrested for that. It was for the fact that they were arrested. And they probably shouldn't have been arrested.
They were sitting there. I'm sitting in the restaurant not bothering nobody.
Their attitudes created the problem after the fact that they were asked.
All right, let's see what some of these folks saying back up. Man, you're going back and forth on this, and you're talking crazy to me right now. But you've been close to the thing. I done got a little agitated with you right now. What are they saying?
Have me on the show, or I'll become a manager of Starbucks and get y'all kicked out. Jacob, promise, I'll get you on. Well.
All right, everybody, share the video out there with different folks. If you guys got time. Brian, you saying that because they were sitting there, they didn't order. The manager asked them, they got belligerent, but we don't know if they got belligerent. Did she get belligerent? We don't know that.
The police report says that they got the police commissioner.
Okay.
Of Philadelphia said that they got belligerent. The 2 gentlemen got belligerent towards the manager and the staff once it was asked. That the police officers tried to come in and defuse the situation afterwards because she did call because they were starting to cause a scene. Now, I have run a restaurant before. I have had to call the cops on people who start to cause a scene because you are in an establishment where others are trying to enjoy their environment as well.
But My question is, what, like you said, we don't know. We're the Monday morning quarterback, Monday morning quarterbacks. When we're sitting here not bothering anyone, right? And I tell you that I'm waiting on somebody. I'm not doing anything. I'm not acting ignorant in here. I'm not on my phone talking loud, right? I'm not tearing up anything. I'm waiting on somebody to come. Why do I have to leave?
They didn't have to.
But she wanted them to because they didn't buy something.
They could have done what I did when I was asked the same thing. It's like, okay, that's fine. I understand your policy. Let me grab a coffee. Let me grab a water. Let me buy a Rice Krispie treat.
But we don't know if they were the only ones being targeted.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter, Brian. It does matter.
Why? Because you have.
Because if you're sitting over there, Brian, and you don't have nothing, I know you've been there way before I got here, and you waiting on somebody, and she only came to me, and I'm asking you, are you gonna go over there and talk to them folks too? And she's still talking to me? Yeah, we got a problem. Now, but that's
situational awareness.
But Brian, you're gonna tell me two grown men that look like they was well-to-do guys.
They were.
Look, well-to-do guys are going to cause a stink about something like that, or did they see something else? I mean, I can understand what you're saying, but if it's Joe Lockett and I cause stink, I'm causing a stink for a reason. I'm mad because for a reason. Dude, I got money. It ain't like I can't buy $5, $10, cup of coffee. Yeah. But damn, why are you coming at me? What about all these other people? And now you're going to arrest me? That's the problem.
They were arrested because of the attitudes that they had after they were
asked. What kind of attitude am I supposed to have if you ain't messing with nobody else in here but me?
You know what, if you don't like what was being asked, you don't like the way that you're being treated, you know what you have a right to do? Get your ass up and walk out.
I understand I can get my ass up and walk out, but why you bring your ass over here and talk to me? Because everybody that's in here.
Because she noticed that they were sitting there without.
But that's wrong. If you're not talking, Brian, if you're sitting over there for an hour like I was,
maybe she was just going to you first.
But why? My question would be why?
You know, I mean, for me, if I'm seeing a group of people, and this is the way that my mind works, is I'm going to go from left to right. I'm just going to start making that trip. It doesn't matter who was there longest. I'm just going to go for, whoever I get to first. That could have been the case.
Let me say this, Brian. Then we're going to read some of these comments. I understand your point, and I'm not saying that I don't get it, but you do have to understand that being a black man in this country, and I'm a black man, and I'm for fairness,
right?
But there is an unjust sometimes that people come to us first, even though if I got the money, they did the Oprah Winfrey when she was in a foreign country. It happens. You may not be dressed a certain way, but you're black, and the people don't expect you to be able to afford it or whatever. If I got on some baggy jeans or whatever, and people come to us first, Brian, we get tired of that. So it's a problem when I know that I got the money, I haven't done anything, and now you bring your behind over here to me first, right? And ask me this question, and maybe they ask, we don't know, I'm hypothetically speaking, but I'm quite sure if somebody come over to two black well-to-do gentlemen and ask them for something, they're going to ask a question back. And so she still persists on her point or what she's doing, because now she's like, all right, how dare you have that audacity? Like I said, I'm hypothetically speaking, but I'm just saying in a logical situation, Brian, if I'm a guy sitting here, I'm a real estate agent waiting on a client, I'm not going to be in there to cause a problem.
Right.
But so I'm going to.
But they caused a problem, and that's
because why? That's the question that we got to talk about.
Okay, so here's why.
Okay.
Because they're black. And right now, within our society, we have very racially sensitive environment that's going on.
Right.
Because of social media, because of the way that news spreads like a wildfire, everything gets picked up with some form of ism to it now. And this particular situation was immediately picked up as racist.
When you got you got white folks in there saying, okay, why are y'all arresting these guys? Right. You got white people, not just black folks. You got white folks saying, why the hell y'all arresting these guys? They didn't do nothing.
But the police did not have an obligation, nor did they allow to know what the patrons were saying. And the videos were only shown of as they were arresting and walking them out.
Right. I'm gonna say this. I'm so tired of people saying what when the videos are shown. Right. I get it. But at the point is nobody looking at the logic to the whole situation.
Right.
These ain't thugs that came in there bumping their music, smoking weed. These are well-to-do guys that got arrested for sitting in Starbucks for waiting on a client. That's what we're talking about. You're giving me this crap about the manager said this and she was polite and they got belligerent. You got to with somebody, she called the police and they followed the law. But damn, are they going to talk to anybody else? Why do we always have to be the one end up in handcuffs? That's like us ended up wind up being shot.
But why didn't they just buy a damn cup of coffee? That's
because they shouldn't have had to. It wasn't allowed.
Well, then I shouldn't have had to buy. I should have just walked out, or I could have done a stink while I was.
I bet she would, Brian.
I wouldn't because.
But Brian, I bet she wouldn't have called the police on you.
If I had caused enough of a stink, I would. I've had to have white people arrested from restaurants before because they
well-to-do.
Well-to-do. Oh no, yeah, well-to-do. Because they caused a stink. And at that point in time, you're disrupting all the other patrons.
That part I get, Brian, but she
and that's when she called the cops.
But Brian, I'm still gonna go back to this point, okay? I get what you're saying, but I'm disagreeing with you on this right to this point here. This is Starbucks.
Right.
We ain't talking about a 5-star restaurant where you get reservations, right? And you know your reservation time is up and other people wait. We're talking about a public place where people go get an overpriced cup of coffee and they can use free Wi-Fi. Okay, that's what we're talking about. College kids sitting there all the damn time and don't do stuff. So nobody gets arrested. How the hell do two black guys that are real estate agents that got enough money get arrested? That's the question we got to be asked because they are sound mind and body.
But why are we? The thing that I keep on seeing is we're reverting it back to race, and I think that we instinctively are going towards race.
The manager was what color?
I have no clue.
Okay, cause I couldn't find that.
Yeah, but they did not say.
But my point is, I don't care if they're white or black, but it just happens to be two black gentlemen.
Right.
And when you see the picture of two white cops, I think it was a white cop and a black cop.
It was a white cop, black cop, and the police commissioner's black.
Right.
And he has stated that as a police officer, he has been asked the exact same question that those two gentlemen were asked.
I get it. I understand the whole situation, but I'm saying we got to look at this thing from a broader perspective too. Because at the same time, I've sat in places, right, and waited for my person, and I didn't order nothing. I have water. I sat there and got 2 glasses of water, sometimes 3, before my client came.
Right.
So
I've been the same.
We've all been there. So this did not have to end in an arrest. The manager could have handled it differently.
Oh no, yeah. The situation probably could have been handled a whole lot differently.
She got upset when they barked back at her, and she could have just said, "Okay, I tell you guys what. When your client comes, can you order something, or can you guys go ahead and move on?"
But I will tell you, as a former manager of a restaurant, that when you have somebody that you go up to and you're trying to diffuse, like you notice something, you go up to a patron and you talk to them, you find out what's going on. You find out they said, "Hey, we're waiting." I was like, "Okay, that's great. Hey, listen, we've got a policy that there are guests coming in. The spot that you're at table 2, table for 4, you know, that sort of thing. Could you buy something, or could you wait outside until
you?" If you got people waiting, I get it. If you got a full house of folks, I get it. When I looked at the pictures that I saw, it didn't look like they were there.
Yeah, but at that point in time, all the cops were in there and they were dispersing, and so
we don't know the situation.
We don't know the full situation, other than what the police report and what the after the fact live video that was.
But it's always, like I said, when we go after the fact, it always go back to the de facto of the people in charge. The person who's being arrested or being killed or being shot, right? We don't take that into account. Okay, really, how did we get here?
Right.
And it always, this is the problem with it. It always wind up being, most of the time, a lot of times, wind up being a black person that's being done to, and we're asking, why the hell can't we just get equal treatment? Let's see what some of these folks are saying.
Oh, you're all right. You don't have to apologize about being late. But it wasn't an issue of race. No, but I'm going to have to push back on you. I don't see this as an issue of race. I think that
y'all share the video out to everybody.
Media has made it an issue of race.
But again,
and I think the reaction to it, because it was immediately picked up by by BuzzFeed, those were the ones who started pushing it.
Okay, the media push racism. Okay, I get it. Okay, because it's sensationalism. Right. I get that part. But Brian, I'm asking you logically. We're sitting here, right?
If it were me handling the situation, I would not have called the cops unless the situation turned into a couple of the situations that I had to deal with where I had to call the cops in order to remove somebody because of their attitudes was disrupting the entire restaurant. Now, if it gets to that point, then yeah, I'd argue.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But these guys, let's go back to the beginning. They were sitting in Starbucks, not bothering anybody. But the manager had a hair up her ass and said, hey, these guys been sitting here too long. They need to go. They're not buying anything. Now, do I know the situation where there are people waiting? Now, if people were waiting, the guy should have been courteous and got up and left.
Yeah.
Right? Or stood outside. Because I think Starbucks had a little umbrellas outside.
Or just buy a coffee.
Oh, just buy a coffee. I get that part. But if there's no policy, right, that say I have to buy a cup of coffee, I don't have to buy a cup of coffee. It's a public place.
And see, here's the problem is with Starbucks is, as I mentioned earlier, is that they leave it up to the franchise owners if they want to have this policy at their individual locations or not.
Everybody does that. I done went to Chick-fil-A. I like to hang out at Chick-fil-A. I don't buy something all the time. I don't even get a water. Sometimes I just go in there and sit down because I want to do some stuff on my phone. So I pull in the Chick-fil-A and I just go in there and do some stuff. I done went to restaurants plenty of times and just sat there and didn't buy anything.
See, I've never done that.
But I have, because if I'm sitting there and it's hot outside, I don't want to feel like sitting in my truck and I'm too far from my office, I'll go sit in a restaurant, and if I'm, I'm looking about 5 or 10 minutes, but I sit there and do. Now, I don't stay there a long period of time because I do get that if you're in this place of establishment that you need to buy something there. Right. And somebody asks you to do what you can, you buy something, go ahead and do it. Now, the guys was wrong on that part. I get that. I'm not going to condone their actions for not actually buying something and having common sense. You're real estate agents. You're not, if somebody looking at the house, looking at one of y'all houses and standing around too long, and you ask them to leave, you're going to do what you got to go do. So I get that point.
The whole situation escalated to a point
both sides acted badly.
Yeah, but we're both in agreement on that.
But I don't think that we can just dismiss it so easy that the manager was in the right because they didn't buy something and they should have did.
Now, I'm not saying the manager is right. I'm just saying that we have to give the context of the whole situation. We just can't say there were two black men. Let's just go ahead and say that. There were two black men that were sitting there. They were asked to leave. They didn't leave, and then the manager called the cops. Right. That's not the way the situation unfolded.
That's not the way, but the situation unfolded the other way either. Before we even got to that point, they was not doing anything.
No, they weren't. They were just sitting there talking. They were waiting.
So why is the manager coming over in a public place telling them they should leave or buy something?
It's not public, it's private.
Okay, it's privately owned on the stock market, Brian, but it's a public place to do business. If it was private, they have a private membership for people to come in and buy a membership and members only.
Every Starbucks I've ever been into, there's a sign that's by the bathroom doors that says you must purchase something in order to use the restrooms. Now, whether or not that's enforced or not,
we don't know.
We don't know.
Right.
Because it's in Philadelphia. And that franchise.
And usually, Brian, when those things are enforced for people who are off the street, who live in, they're begging for money, that's who that usually is for. Not real estate agents, not patrons. I'm sure those guys, if they went to Starbucks, I'm sure they've spent plenty of money inside of Starbucks before.
And there's another video that the very next day in Los Angeles, there is a Hispanic manager that wouldn't let a black patron use the restroom until he purchased something. It was clearly there. There was a code on the bathroom door. Each individual area of Starbucks allows them to operate individually. Each one can enforce these policies if they choose fit. Philadelphia, they're not seeming like the city of brotherly love.
Let's get some of these comments, because me and you ain't gonna agree on some of this stuff. Exactly. People saying they wasn't doing that. Again, they were.
We're whites loitering or waiting for it. We
don't know. That's why
because the whole situation is solely focused on the arrest.
But there were whites there saying why they're being arrested.
Right, because they were asking because they didn't know.
But again, I'm gonna say this. Let's go to the beginning of the situation. Me and my boy, real estate agent. Brian? Where you want to meet us at? We're gonna meet you at Starbucks. Okay.
Which is normal.
So I'm gonna sit here and we'll wait for you. Right? So the client said, I'm going to be a little bit late. Okay, cool, no problem. We still here at Starbucks. Here comes the manager. We ain't doing nothing.
Yeah.
Why are you telling me to leave?
They weren't. She was just saying, hey, guys, no, she's been sitting here for a while. This is probably what happened because this is how I would have done it and how I would have approached it being manager.
Go ahead, Brian. Tell me how you would have done it.
Guys, I know she's been sitting here for a while. We're busy. We've got a policy,
Dude, but we don't know if they were busy or not.
We don't. But even if we were or we're not busy.
Well, if you was not busy.
Generally speaking, if it wasn't busy, then I probably wouldn't have approached somebody. But if it was busy, or if I noticed that they were there for a while and they were just hanging out and not buying anything, I say, hey guys, we've got a policy. You just can't sit here without purchasing anything. We like to reserve this space in this area for paying customers. That's how you would probably approach that situation. you know, you're more than happy to get you guys a water or coffee, and you know, that way you guys can continue, you know, to sit here. You know, if you guys are waiting on somebody, would you mind waiting outside or waiting in your cars or something like that? Now, I don't know if she approached a situation like that.
Right.
We don't know, because everything's unfolded after the fact.
Right.
But if they responded in a way that was argumentative to that point, just because they felt like she was targeting them because of the color of their skin, then we've turned the whole situation into something else.
This is my question, and like I said, we don't know. And I still hark back to what I said at the beginning of this debate, is we got two astute black men that are real estate agents, which means they got money.
Yeah.
They know how to conduct themselves. They knew how to do customer service. So they get all of that.
Yep.
For these two men to say something or get belligerent, Brian, I'm just using common logic sense.
What did the manager say?
Right. It had to be something. I can lose my license. I can get embarrassed. I got a family.
But if she said something wrong, well, let's just go ahead and point this out. If she said something wrong, because Starbucks is known as a very liberal establishment. They're one.
What the hell that got to do with anything?
Because they preach social justice.
Okay.
And so they're very accepting of everybody and everything. They teach and preach tolerance. They always have.
Right.
If she had said something that was against that policy, against that training,
she was in her means to ask them, because it's in their bylaws, I'm sure. So she did her job, Brian. But that's at the discretion of understanding the situation, how to diffuse in management. We all been in management before.
Oh, yeah.
So I get it. She's not going to get fired because she did her job. She did the right thing.
But if she said something racially charged,
I don't think she said anything racially charged.
Then.
But my question is, how did she come to it?
And we don't know, because the CEO of Starbucks has come out and has apologized for a situation.
We're going to get into that. Yeah, we're going to get into that.
He has said that she no longer works at that particular location, so she's no longer there, though she's still working with the company.
Right.
And you know, I think that's for her own safety too.
Of course.
Because they, you know, like in situations like this, people can get a little extreme.
Of course.
And kind of take things a little overboard. Unfortunately, cooler heads don't really prevail in these types of situations. The gentlemen have had conversations with the CEO and the police chief.
Let's catch a couple of these comments because I want to go ahead. We're going to move forward in the debate. But I want to, before we start reading these comments, I want to kind of get to this point here. Everybody is looking at the situation a couple of different angles. But like I said, for me, I think we got to look at this thing logically, okay? When you got two men that are real estate agents that does customer service and knows how to handle their business, who can afford a cup of coffee, right? Something else had to go on
in order to
get to that point.
And I agree with you. We don't. The only thing that we know is what came out in the police report.
Right, but the police report don't state the point of, you know what I'm saying, looking at the whole entire situation. If that kid was a thug with their shirt off, causing a scene, of course, throw they behind about the store. But this situation here, like I said, I'm looking at it as in a whole. And how did it end up these two guys that could afford a cup of coffee?
It had to have been something they had said, the attitude in
response.
Right.
What triggered
what
them?
Was the trigger for the response and their attitude in order to get it to escalate to the point where the police were called?
Because you're you selling real estate, Brian.
Right. And here's the thing, you know, the people that I've had to call the cops on before in the past, millionaires.
Right.
And so they were more than able to afford.
But they're on a different level. They probably mad about the customer service, something petty, whatever. I'm quite sure that was something really petty. I'm talking about you didn't bother them because they were sitting there. You knew they could afford a cup of coffee. You knew they was millionaires. You weren't going to ask them to leave.
No.
But you see my point. You want to ask them, but there was a black guy sitting in that restaurant, and you didn't know he was a millionaire. But y'all do that kind of establishment. You see my point? People asked these folks to leave. And I'm not saying that was the case that she did because they were black.
Right.
But my point is...
But a lot of people are. And I think that's the problem, because we're not looking at it as you're approaching it, as here are two men who are sitting here. We're immediately going, and I'm sick and tired of our nation going to this, and in the characterizations that we do, is we immediately go two white men, two black men, two Asian men, two Hispanic men, women, whatever it may be. We're immediately going to race and having everything be targeted and judged off of race.
But you got to understand why, Brian. You got to understand why.
Well, I understand why.
Because
I'm frustrated with it.
I'm frustrated with it too, but damn, I'm at the point too, Brian, that we're sitting here and we're saying 2 black men who we know can afford a cup of coffee was arrested.
Right.
Because they decided not to buy, but they wanted to sit here. That's ridiculous.
And if that was the entire context of the situation, yes, I would agree. That is ridiculous. But they were initially charged with trespassing, which means that they...
So because I was meeting my client here, I didn't buy a cup of coffee. Now I got something on my record that says that I was trespassing.
No, they were not charged.
Okay.
The all charges were dropped. But that was the initial charge that the police officers came in and charged them with, because not only did the management of that location ask them to either purchase something or leave, and they refused to do so.
Mm-hmm.
When the cops were called, the cops asked them 3 times. 3 times.
I understand.
And they had
Brian,
the exact same attitude towards the police.
Because I understand it. I think they should have left when the cops asked them. I get that.
I think they should have just gone, okay, ma'am.
But Brian, black folks are tired of saying, okay, like I said, something triggered those 2 astute men to take that attitude. We ain't talking about little nook coming in there acting a fool. I'm talking about 2 men like myself. Something's gonna trigger Joe Lockett for me to.
Sorry. Nook.
Hey man, that's one of the names we had. One of my homeboys that grew up in the neighborhood. But I'm just saying, Lil Ray is not coming up in there. Okay.
Yeah.
We're talking about Joe Lockett sitting here.
Yeah, but
for me to
get triggered, Starbucks unless you can afford Starbucks, because it's not cheap.
But for me to get triggered,
right?
For Joe Lockett to get triggered, something else, and that's what I would hope people like yourself will understand. Yeah, you see this part and say, yeah, it's simple. Just go buy a cup of coffee or leave. But something else had to trigger Joe Lockett, that I know I can afford this cup of coffee. Something else I saw or I heard in this woman's voice that triggered me. And like, damn, why are you coming at me?
Yeah, but what if your interpretation of the situation, you're already in that mindset?
I'm never meet a client. Why would I be in that mindset, Brian? Come on. It's two guys. Right. One guy made, but you got 2 guys there to make money. I'm trying to close on a house, I guess. Yeah. Or go show a house. So I don't care. I'm not even thinking about nothing like that. I'm trying to wait for this client. We probably talking about how we're going to do this house, blah, blah, blah. You know, where location we're going, what house we're going to show this client. Or they probably get ready to set up a closing and get the closer there. Who knows what they're talking about? But there was nothing there dealing with white folks and black folks.
Right.
The issue came, and if I'm dealing on my business, some had to irritate the hell out of them guys for them to take that route, and probably still didn't get a chance to get their client. They lost their money.
We don't know what that is. And until we know what that is, all of this is just speculation.
All right, let's get to some of these questions here. Let's trigger back through.
Let's see. In some people, there may be only movement of peace of comfort. I'm not making it a race issue. It's a world issue. I agree. Shamika,
go ahead and go back up.
We're seeing this all across the world, though. I mean, you're looking at situations all across the world that are very, very, very similar. Some people's logic said.
Because I think Melva answered you back on something.
Well,
all right.
Trying. Man, your computer, your touch screen's not very good. See if you can do it.
Man, you and your let's see. Should be able to move up here. I guess I can't.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to catch the questions later.
Yeah.
Like I got some hair grease, some of the Lord black folks grease on there. It may be the internet here too, because it may be moving slow because of the internet. But we'll catch some of it later.
Yeah. Well, so I mean.
Oh Lord.
What did you do?
I made everybody small.
You did.
I can't read nothing now.
I'll get on my phone, and because I know I can.
There we go. Back at 100%. All right. It'll pop back out. Yeah, the internet is trying to catch up everything.
Yeah, so let's see, turn this volume all the way down so I can watch this and see the comments. What I think is more of an issue, if we're wanting to, stick with the racism, is what.
So before we get to George, what happened to the internet?
No, that's something you did with your computer.
Oh, I guess I'm trying to explain.
Your computer is
let's not touch that computer. Right?
Yeah.
But the next part of this, because there's two parts to the Starbucks. Okay, we didn't went into debate, and I guess we kind of agree to disagree in certain areas of it. But now let's talk about, because of what happened, the black community is saying go boycott Starbucks.
Right.
Now, I want you guys to chime in on this. Do you guys think that because of the situation, are you actually boycotting Starbucks? And why? Because this is where, even though I'm defending the gentleman, I feel a different way about boycotting Starbucks itself.
This was an individual localized incident. This wasn't something from anything that I know of that Starbucks has as a whole as their treatment towards people. Generally, they're like I said, and that's why I said earlier, they're a very left-leaning company. They're very socially acceptable to a lot of different people and different policies. Right. And they're not ones to have any form of discrimination of any sort throughout their company mantra. Right. They never have.
Right.
And so I think that it's disingenuous for there to be a movement of boycott Starbucks, and that's why I'm having an issue with this. Is not because of necessarily the situation that happened, it's the response.
But you got to really understand, Brian. You don't have to, but let's dive into this a little bit. People didn't look at the situation abroad from the side of the two gentlemen was there. Number one, they just took, a lot of people took the, just buy some damn coffee and move or leave. Okay. Now you got to look at when black people see this happening again on social media, two black gentlemen in handcuffs, right, at a Starbucks for sitting there doing nothing, right? I done gave my money, but now you see somebody look like you. First one you see us being shot. Now, all the situations we ain't gonna get into it, but you see us being shot on TV by police officers. These gentlemen are doing nothing, and y'all saying because they didn't buy a cup of coffee, now you're gonna arrest them. When you just scrolling through that, Brian, and you black and you seeing that, again, bruh, we tired. So of course, the only way, my only outrage is that, okay, I'm not gonna say the word, but bump it. I'm not going to Starbucks anymore, okay? Because y'all doing this to us. Because people, at some point, Brian, I keep telling people, I understand both sides of it, but you got to understand that there are people out there who don't live the life that we live and get to see everything.
Right.
We live life in a scrolling moment. We react to our situations, and because where we are, we've probably been in that situation that things are happening to us.
Right.
So if I see this, okay, here go more of this crap right now. So yeah, I'm not gonna boycott. When somebody said boycott, hashtag Starbucks, and two black gentlemen arrested. Yeah, it looks like a racial issue, but it's not really a racial issue. It's just that black folks are tired of ending up in handcuffs or dead at the hand of police officers. And here it is again. We didn't do nothing wrong.
Right.
That, Brian, America, we got a problem with that. We really have a freaking problem with that.
I agree. My original experience in seeing this story was a little 30-second, now this.
Right. And your immediate response was, man, please.
Because I'm like, okay, because of the Donald Trump environment, let's just go ahead and throw his name out there.
Okay,
because
you're off camera now.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
People got to see this pretty much. Because of the way that everybody reacts to Donald Trump, it's immediate. It's an emotional reaction. So all of our news stories right now are so emotional that, you and I have been subject to that.
Yeah.
I've had to teach myself to take a step back.
Right.
And it's been very difficult.
Right.
But I took a step back. I was like, okay, let's get all the issues. But then I started seeing the social media response, and it was almost immediate boycott Starbucks. It wasn't.
But Brian, I hear you, and I don't mean to cut you off, bro. But your immediate response was your immediate response as a white man.
Well, I was just like, okay, what?
But your immediate response was your immediate response, right?
Yeah.
That's the typical response that we hear from you. So you got to understand, your immediate response is always going to be the same when you see that. Our immediate response is always going to be the same when we see that.
Well, then how do we change that culture?
I don't know, but I'm just making sure you understand.
Well, no, I understand completely. Okay. But I'm just saying, it's a cultural issue.
Well, it's a cultural issue, but it changes when you in that situation, you know you're in this moment as the manager and as the patron or the victim that's being victimized at that point. Handle it as human beings, right? Because that situation, regardless of what happened, did not have to end in 2 men being arrested at Starbucks in a public place. There was no way you had to come in and be on a list where you could say, well, you're gonna be here from 1 to 2, and if we got other people coming in. That's not Starbucks.
No.
So they did not have to be arrested. The manager could have handled that differently. That's why I love what Starbucks is doing.
Both parties could have handled it differently.
Both parties, I agree.
Both parties should have handled it.
I'm gonna agree with you on that, because there were some things, like I said, if it was me, I would have handled it differently. But again, I don't know, Brian. Right. I don't know what she said
we don't
trigger Joe Lockett.
And we won't, and I don't think we'll ever know.
Exactly. Because the police report said one thing, but if the guy is saying, okay, bruh, look where I live, look what I do. Mm-hmm. I'm not mad over a cup of coffee. I could have bought it, but it's the way, right? So that's what we got to be careful of.
Okay, well, so at that point, look where I live, look what I do.
No, I'm just saying that would have been my mentality if I'm talking to the police officer, because she's saying what she's saying. I would have been able to. I'm from.
But somebody did say that at that in that area in Philadelphia, they do have a rule that says you have to purchase something to be a patron.
Okay, so but you still got you can use that at your discretion. Okay, most restaurants say that. Okay, but usually
and most enforce.
I'm gonna say most enforce it, Brian, but
most people comply with it. It's right. Like if you get approached, it's like, hey, whatever, we like to reserve this, blah blah blah. Generally, if you were a patron, you say, okay, I understand. That's all you gotta do. Okay, I understand.
But Brian, if I told you, okay, I mean, you keep going back on this, it's ridiculous, but I'm gonna say it one more time. If I told Brian, you coming up to me, you need to order something. I got a client coming. We'll order something when they get here, or we'll leave.
And if I were the manager and you had told me that, I was like, okay, I understand.
Right.
And you're done.
But that's how simple that could have been, Brian.
It could have been, but something, like you said, something was said, something happened that where it escalated to the point where it is.
And I think that was wrong on both sides. I'm just saying again, the men didn't have to end up in handcuffs. It could have been handled differently. But here's the thing that I got to say for the community, a lot of people, and this may get a little backlash. I'm not a coffee drinker, so I never really went to Starbucks. Mm-hmm. But I don't think a boycott is in this situation, because it was not Starbucks.
Well, everybody's boycotting everything now, so it's like a trend.
But Starbucks, this was a manager, one person who made a bad decision on how to handle the situation. She worked for Starbucks, yes. But is that kind of company? No.
But I'll tell you, I used to work for Starbucks. Okay. I helped one of my friends who moved into town. He opened up a location out in Greystone, and he asked for some help. I wanted to make some extra money at the time. I was bored at night. Just gotten out of a relationship, so I didn't have much to do. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll help you out. I've gone through the Starbucks training. I know how inclusive they are and what they do in order to make sure that every person that walks through that door is welcome and invited. So I know what type of environment that they teach you. I know what they're trying to get out of you as an employee to ensure that the people who walk through that door get excellence whenever they walk into a Starbucks. So I don't necessarily, this to me is a one-on-one training thing. I don't necessarily know if it's the right choice to close all 8,000 locations in order to.
I love it, because this is the first time that I've seen a CEO get on national TV right at the midst of it. Heard about it, got on TV, handled his business, stood up and took the hit. Then said, I'm going to go a step further and let y'all know we're not going to tolerate this kind of behavior, so we're going to do training.
And we're going to train you on unconscious bias.
Exactly. But
so how do you fix unconscious bias?
Well, Brian, I don't know how you fix it. I don't know how they're going to train about it. But as a black man, I'm sitting here saying, congratulations, Starbucks. You did a great job. There was nothing more. You said, I'm sorry.
But there's so many people out there who are black who are saying too little, too late.
But you're always going to have that. But
But that's the voice that's being heard. That's
not everywhere.
That's
not
the
everywhere.
vocal
Not
minority.
Everywhere. But there are some people saying that, Brian. But where and what point in time have you seen companies come out and actually say, "Hey, I'm finna close these stores. We're gonna make sure our people are trained." Because we always say police need more training, right? Mm-hmm. Remember we talking about police training. We need to do better. Starbucks said we seen this situation. They CEO knew that this situation could have been handled a hell of a lot better, and we didn't have to end up on TV with a PR nightmare.
Right.
So let me go ahead and show the world how our company is supposed to operate in 2018. Shut it down.
CEO is trying to prevent a PR nightmare.
Of course.
He just said it. So is he genuine about what he's doing? I don't think he's genuine.
I think he's genuine and smart.
I think he's smart, but I don't think he's necessarily genuine. I just think he's trying to protect his IP.
Of course he is, Brian. It's about business.
It is.
I don't think, Brian, they could have just closed it in Philly. They could have just closed it in just black neighborhoods and in certain neighborhoods. He said, let's close it all down.
Yeah, he's
right?
closing all 8,000 so that they have.
Whether he's doing it for whatever reason, we can say good, bad, ugly, and different. But if you're shutting it down to teach people how to treat me, right? At least I know you're trying. Now, if you come out and it does not work, that's a different issue. But at least I see what we want to see, Brian, is you heard me and you trying to make it better. You shut down all your locations, so now we shouldn't have this kind of problem again. Now, what black folks got to do is not take advantage of it.
Well, and see, I think that's what the problem is with a lot of white folks, is we see that certain things that are happening and that some of those within the black community will try and take advantage of it. There was a situation today that got a little bit of social media pull that where a couple of black men went to a Starbucks and said, I heard you guys are racist. I want reparations.
But see, that's stupidity.
Right, but but that's what gets put out into the media. That's what gets legs because that is what sensationalism happens.
And that's stupidity.
Right, but that's the problem with what we're experiencing with these types of situations. But sensationalism grabs hold.
Yes, it does, and we got to be very careful about it because that's why we're talking about this today because it's sensationalism. Right. Because everybody want to chime in on it. But the thing is, we got to be careful of. You got people out there who wants to prey on the moment, right?
Oh, everybody.
The people who see their time, people sit back and watch the news. Okay, let me go get my boycott thing out. Strictly boycott.
Al Sharpton is the king of that.
But let me say this. He may be the king of it, but Al Sharpton don't move until he get paid.
That's true.
So even though y'all see Al Sharpton.
Jesse Jackson is right up there with you. They take it, they're opportunistic on some of these events.
But here's the thing. And I want to be careful what I say. What they did to get to the point in their lives, I respect them a lot.
Oh, I do too.
What they do on some things, I may agree or disagree in this day and age, how they go by doing those things. Let me just say that. But I never wanted to demean Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson.
I've met Al Sharpton, and he is a very genuine and nice man.
Yeah.
I don't agree with kind of the ambulance chasing that he does at times that gets portrayed in the media.
Right. And like I said, there are things and times that I see some things I'm like, But again, I'm not going to get into that because of what he did, him and Jesse Jackson back in the day is why me and you can sit in this room today and have this conversation and this debate. Because if they wouldn't have did that, no matter what they're doing today, if
they weren't a part of that movement in the 60s and 70s,
you'll still be probably calling me the N-word.
I would never be calling anybody that.
But the thing I want to talk about now, though, is everything worth boycotting?
I don't think so. To me, I think that we saw this. I remember when 2011 happened, September 11th, 2011, and I was listening to talk radio, and the French did something. I can't remember what it was.
Right.
And there was on conservative talk to change everything that was French related to like freedom fries instead of French fries, and to do that sort of type of boycott to boycott France because I can't remember exactly what it was that they did, but they did something.
Right.
I think that. I also think that the conservative movement that Rush Limbaugh helped create, he did a lot of that pushing of boycotts of certain companies.
Right.
And then the left started picking up on that.
Right.
During the Obama administration, a lot of the right, they started really picking up on we're going to boycott this, boycott that. Well, now that Trump's in office, and in the last few years, that just, it's a boycott trend. Anything that triggers anybody, anything that's sensational, it turns into, oh, we're just going to boycott. I mean, look what David Hogg tried to do with Laura Ingraham.
Right.
And it's boycott to say boycott. We're so divided. It's like walk on eggshells for everything. Mm-hmm. We can't have a good debate without talking about the issues. Some kind of feelings and emotions have to get involved, and then that turns things into boycotts.
Right.
And not everything is worth boycotting. It's kind of like violence on television.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You know, you get used to it. It's kind of like, and to take Israel for example. Mm. Israel became used to rockets coming over. Right. They became used to people blowing themselves up. They became used to knife attacks. That became a part of their lives, where if it just happened, they looked over their shoulders and they went back to their business. Now,
go ahead and keep this going. I need to go check on something.
Okay, we should not have boycotts be turned into that, or at least I think so. I mean, because you're going to lose what the strength of what a boycott is, and it's just going to turn into, well, we're just going to boycott everything just because we're going to boycott. What do you guys say? Do you guys agree or disagree? I mean, do you think that the boycotting or the excessive boycotting that we have had has turned into where we've become kind of nonchalant about it? Say you. I mean, I think that we've just kind of become desensitized to the boycott movement, because boycott should mean something. It should be powerful.
You know, I've been thinking a lot about, the different things when we talk about boycotting. Mm-hmm. I think it's effective to a point, but I don't know, and I don't have answers of when should we boycott now.
Right.
When is the right time to boycott? Because so many things that, let me say this, let me back this up. Mm-hmm. When Martin Luther King, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, all those guys back in the day started this, right? And they figured out that this is what gets attention and it works.
Like World War sit-ins.
Right.
Right. That was powerful.
Let's get into this, that they had a plan though.
Right.
Right. It wasn't, they saw something and immediately said, let's do this. They saw something, they went and sat down and talked about it, and then said, this is how we're going to handle it with a boycott, with the goals in mind of what we're going to get from it.
And they knew what the repercussions were and the consequences were, because they were all arrested.
Right.
And they knew that power.
Right.
That was power.
Right.
Now, for this particular instance.
Right.
Just saying, let's boycott Starbucks just because
now we're looking
out of control.
But we're looking at it now, Brian, to the point of economic boycott means change. But again, yeah, it means change, but change to what?
But it didn't work with Laura Ingraham. Her viewership's up 20%. She's making more money now after David Hogg, got all.
She's making more money because she lost a lot more sponsors, bro. So I don't know.
Some of them have started to come back because her viewership increased 20%.
We'll see how that works out. I don't know about that, but I'm just saying on this situation with Starbucks and what we're talking about with boycotting. When you look at what boycotting does, the effect when they said we're going to boycott the bus line, mm-hmm. they understood economically it was going to hurt, but they understood they had to walk, carpool, miss jobs, be late, some get fired. That was the sacrifice to get their attention, so we can have the rights to get on the front of the bus.
Right.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Now, when we saying boycott these places and take their economic power, what are we trying to get after that?
Yeah.
And that's the point that I'm saying. So when we talk about boycotting is for what, right? Boycotting, here's the economic power, but after you finish boycotting that store and you decide to go back tomorrow, nothing never changes.
Right, but the problem with boycotting today,
mm-hmm.
it's back then, on that movement, it was unified.
Right.
You had people who saw the social injustices that were happening,
right.
and the people who took part in those boycotts agreed, and because of the way that the economy was set up at that point in time, doing the boycotts really hurt.
Yeah.
In today's environment, you're left wing, I'm right wing. You boycott something, You get all your left-wing friends to boycott something. I'm right-wing. I don't agree with it. I think it's stupid. I'm going to get all my right-wing friends to go and support those. Right. And so the boycotts, you have an anti-boycott that cancels each other out.
So again, when we're talking about boycotting, go back to what I just said. What is the end result you want from the boycott, and how long are you willing to do it?
Right.
What the sacrifices are going to be taken, the unification. They had a game plan when you boycotted back in the day. When we boycott now, it's a reaction to an action that happened with no game plan. It's no game plan.
Yeah, no.
You know what I'm saying?
There's if something needs to happen and you need to create a situational boycott, you're right. It needs to be thought through. Yes. Okay, what's the end goal? What are we willing to sacrifice in this boycott?
And what do we want out of this boycott?
Because I'm going to tell you right now, this $2, Starbucks isn't going to be hurting for $2.
They will hurt if it's in Philly, if it's in a black community. They would probably have to close the store if people really actually boycotted, it became a problem.
Right.
I mean, it'll hurt in different areas, because once black folks seeing that they're being mistreated in Philly, it trickles down to New York, blah, 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 Alabama, blah, blah. So, you know, they don't want that. They don't want that, trust me, because they start to lose money at that point. Right. So you don't want that kind of issue. It can hurt, but are you hurting your own community with Starbucks situation? Are you hurting your own community when it wasn't really Starbucks' fault?
Right.
That's the problem. You're taking a great company out of, and the product out of your community, right, that came there. Now you got other folks looking at you. Right? If y'all gonna do that Starbucks, I'm not coming.
Well, I mean, that can tie into a news report that I heard and I read before I came in was Jesse Jackson's calling for a boycott of Kroger because they're closing 3 locations in Memphis in predominantly black neighborhoods.
But they're closing them because
they're not making a profit.
Right. So
he's saying that's going to hurt the community by closing them, but it's a business.
Okay.
And if you're a business,
that's what I'm talking about. We're talking about boycott.
Right.
You got to talk about, okay, Kroger. Black folks don't go to Kroger unless, you know, it's in the suburbs, okay? Most black folks go to Piggly Wiggly, Winn-Dixie, Walmart, and Publix. Okay, that's where we usually go. So a Kroger, when we lived in West Virginia, there was a Kroger. I get it. But what other supermarkets are around there? You can't make a person stay if they're not making any money.
Well, and they closed the location last year in a predominantly black neighborhood in Cincinnati, and it had never made a profit in the 20 years that it was in that location. And to me, it's like, okay,
it's a business move.
That's a business move. But he's calling for a boycott against Kroger because they're closing in predominantly black neighborhoods.
I don't know all the statistics. I mean, all the facts around that. But if they're just closed, I mean, why Jesse Jackson wants to boycott? But if he's boycotting because they're moving it and they're moving for business reasons,
correct.
People are not going to spend millions of dollars to put a location in a community to lose money.
But that goes back into what are you really boycotting?
Right.
Don't just call for a boycott just to boycott something. Right. Boycotting the bus lines. That was an important movement because you were hurting something that was disenfranchising an entire community.
Right.
They were placating to just the whites. They weren't giving equal representation to the blacks.
No.
That was an important boycott. You made sacrifices. You lost your job. You walked. Boycotting Starbucks.
I'm gonna tell you, I disagree with. I understand people's emotions about that.
And I understand the emotions completely.
I disagree with. I don't think this is a cause to boycott because Starbucks, in my personal opinion, it's just mine. The CEO said he's sorry. He came out immediately and
no.
They went immediately into we're going to close down these stores and we're going to do
just like a sensitivity training.
Training. There's nothing more they can do.
No.
There's nothing more you can do to appease that situation. Nothing.
Right.
So I think, and myself, like I said, I'm just speaking for myself. They did the right thing, and I wish more companies would take it that serious. Now, is it tongue in cheek? A little bit, probably of both. But at least I know you are listening. And I know you care enough to at least try. You can't ask for no more from nobody. I'm sorry, and here's what we're going to do for it.
Yeah, but I guess just like on the emotional level and seeing how this is all transpiring and coming out, I'm seeing a lot of social media posts where people are now saying all white people are inherently racist. And that's the narrative that's now being pushed out.
Well, I mean, but that's why shows like this and what we do is very important to society because that's just stupid.
It is.
That's just stupid. That's just stupid. That's like saying all black folks are thugs. Come on, that's just stupid. All white people are not racist, but they are racist white people.
Then there are racist black people.
So again, we can call this, we can get into the debate of, black and white, but at the end of the day, there's inequality in America.
Well, there will always be inequality, regardless of.
It's always going to be, Brian, but it has to come to a point, Brian, that when me and you are sitting together, or we doing things that when I walk into a store, I'm gonna get the same exact treatment that they would give you.
Right, but that's Dr. King's ultimate goal, was that we're not judged by the color of the skin, by the content of our character.
But we're not.
No,
and so
we're not. We're definitely not.
People react to me in certain situations, Brian, than they would act to you in the same exact situation.
No, and I am 100%.
And so that's what we have to be when you walk around with that. Do it happen to me a lot? No. But do I know fellas that it happened to a lot? Yes. So I can't go around because it don't happen to me. It's not that's not the way America works. No, it's BS.
Right.
So I have to be conscious enough to understand. Yeah, I'm Joe Lockett. I'm on radio. I'm on TV. I'm doing all this other good stuff. So yeah, people know me, right? But there are people.
Well, Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
He was discriminated against several years ago, and I can't remember where he was. He was pulled over by police officers, and they didn't know who he was.
But then when they found out who he was.
Well, that was after the fact.
Yeah. But again, that's the thing. So we know inequality. Racism will always be here, but all we're asking is, okay, you feel the kind of way, but at least when you realize who I am, treat me the same way that you would treat you. And that's what we got to work on better in our country. We want equality. I want to be treated equal, Brian. Okay? I don't want to be treated no different than you. I don't want the world to give me nothing. The same thing they give to you, Brian, please give it to me.
Yeah.
The exact same way. If I went to the same Ivy League school you went to, or I did the exact same thing you do, give me the equal opportunity that you would give him. Right. You see what I'm saying? Not because you're white. Don't give it to me because I'm black, and don't give it to Brian. If I don't deserve it and Brian is better than me, give it to Brian. Treat me equally. That's all I ask. Equal across the board.
Right.
Give me.
But I think that because of the society and what has happened with the black community, I don't feel like a lot of people within the black community want to truly see that, based upon a lot of the reactions that I see, that they think that there are certain people out there, they're very loud voices. I don't necessarily know how a majority opinion or minority opinion on it, but they feel that because of the marginalization of the people, the community, the race for so long, that they deserve to be treated differently than white people in order to make up the gap.
There are people like that, Brian, and I've met some people like that, but I think the majority of the black community don't feel that way, right? The people that I know, the dudes that I rock with, right, my crew, the people that I know, that I hang around, all we want, bro, I'm gonna go out there and work. I'm gonna go out there and take care of my family. I'm gonna go out there and handle my business. All I'm asking is that at the end of the day, please don't pull me over because you see me driving a nice car.
Right.
Okay? Don't pull me over if I'm in a nice neighborhood and I got a nice car, and because you don't know me, I just moved in. Please don't pull me over. Yeah. They're not gonna pull you over.
No.
That's what I'm asking for.
And I want that too.
When I go to a store and I'm dressed in some blue jeans and I may just came from the gym and got on my gym clothes, but I'm a multi-millionaire, right? Don't look at my color, my skin, and give me bad service because you think I can't afford that $5,000 pair that luggage up there. Treat me the same way. If you find that I can't afford it, okay, move me out. But 9 times out of 10, if a black man or a white man is walking into that store to look at something, we got the right to shop, number one. And number two, if I'm walking out, either I got the potential of buying it, or I'm trying to see how much it costs so I can buy. So don't look at me any different than you do at Bryan because he's white in his same clothes. You see what I'm saying? That's the treatment that we get.
Right. And I get that.
And that's the problem that we have when we see people get arrested, people getting shot. We're tired.
But my question is, where does that originate from? Where does that, because that's a preconceived condition of looking at you that way.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
The mindset of somebody who's looking at a black man. We're dressed the exact same way. We have the exact same money. We come in to buy the exact same thing. Though because the color of your skin, you're treated differently. That's a reality of our world. It's not just in America, it's all across the world.
Right.
What is the preconceived, where does that preconceived notion come from? Because that's ingrained within somebody to look at that.
Do you want me to say the word, Brian?
I want you to say the word because this is real talk.
Okay.
This is love-hate debate.
Okay. This is where black folks get the word white privilege from, Brian.
You think that is
no? I'm telling, Brian. If you're looking at me some kind of way, you're thinking that, okay, I can't afford it. How the hell can you afford it? Because a lot of times the people working in them stores can't afford some of the stuff they're selling. Most people are selling those expensive cars and stuff. They can't even afford them. They just sell them. They make a nice commission, but they can't afford them.
Right.
So they're looking at me. If I'm white and I can't afford it, how the hell this black woman or black man can afford it? That's when black folks look at you and say, okay, white privilege.
But what makes...
I have to ask you the question. What makes white folks think that we can't? What makes white folks look at me like that? I have to ask you that question.
I have no clue because I don't. And so I have, cultural issues that I can look at that says that, generally the black community, especially in the modern community, is especially what happened in the 80s and 90s. And with the way that the mainstream media has promoted, Tupac and that type of thing, and so that became ingrained within a cultural perception about a community as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because of entertainment purposes, our mindsets are shaped to look at a race a certain way. Mm-hmm. Because you get movies like, and I'm just saying, like Boys in the Hood and that sort of thing, where they're very.
But we're bigger than.
I know.
But see, but that's the problem right there. That's what you start to explain when you talk about the black community.
Right.
But that is not black people.
I'm aware.
But
of
I'm saying that. But that's the problem. Everything, when something goes bad, the first thing people equate to black folks is Boys in the Hood, thug, blah. If we're talking about white folks, we don't go to rock and roll. We don't go to the drug addicts or to the trailer parks. We don't think of white folks like that. You think about presidents, CEOs. Why come y'all can't look at the other part of what black people do? We did a whole lot more. That was Smokey Robinson. Yeah. That was Nat King Cole, Anita Baker, Luther Vandross, Booker T. Washington. There's so much more that they can see. But you take that one little thing that you seen that's bad in our community, where they calling, women all their name. That's entertainment. But that's what they characterize black folks as. That's stupid.
But that's the entertainment community that's been glorified. Where for white people, and let's just talk about entertainment. For white people, what's been glorified is to become the CEO. I mean, you want to talk about like Ben Carson, a conservative black man. Mm-hmm. He gets called an Uncle Tom. Mm-hmm. He's not part of the black community. And
Ben Carson, y'all can have him. You can have him.
Right, but okay, but point taken.
Okay.
I think that the people that we look up to within different communities are not necessarily the best role models, and so they get idolized in a certain way.
Okay.
And so when different people are looking at different cultural communities, because it's an entertainment, because this is what Hollywood or other forms of industry are promoting,
and we buy into it because they're paying us to do it.
Exactly.
So but
and look at Miley Cyrus, look at Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera in their younger days when they were going through the rebellious, that like they looked like whores, they looked like slut, and so that's the personification that they projected.
But that didn't stick to them.
No, because they were.
It didn't stick to them.
No, they were able to.
Ice Cube and all those other guys now are producers. They own companies.
Directors.
Yeah. But if you say Ice Cube, you say Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg just went through hell because he did a gospel album that went #1.
I was shocked.
The black community went and tore him down because of what he did to certain people, and this is the Christian community. But I guess what we're looking at when we're looking at what you're saying with the whites and the blacks, the picture that is painted, Brian, by Hollywood, I get it. But there's also common sense. Mm-hmm. When you walk out of your front door.
But most people don't adhere to common sense. You and I know that.
Touche.
So, and, I mean, we get and absorb what we're entertained by.
Yeah.
And when you have 70% of the American population who is white, and they go and they see a movie that glorifies violence, and I'm just using Boys in the Hood, Spike Lee, just for that only.
Okay.
you see that entertainment and you see that being glorified, and you think that that's how that community. It's the same way with Martin Scorsese with his mobster, movies. The Italian community with Godfather, that had been glorified, and so you look at Italian communities and you think they're all thugs. You look at that, and it's the same like Boston, any of the Martin Scorsese movies that have been made in Boston, and you look at the way that the people are personified, because you're entertained by that.
Right.
You get a notion that that's how the people actually are.
Okay. Like I said, touche. That part I can agree with you with, but I think, as we're talking about this, we need to make sure, and people need to, what's the best way to say this, Bryan? When you're in Hollywood and you're trying to make it, they offer you these roles, right? What do you say? Do you say no because you're not making any money? Do you take these roles?
No, you would.
You take that, but I'm saying, but
if you're broke and you want to,
right,
Hollywood's coming knocking on the door.
But that's the situation that most of us find ourselves in,
right,
when you're in Hollywood, because it goes back to before Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey and a few other guys like LeBron James and everybody started their own studios, and you got John Singer and all these guys. They still had to go through Lionsgate and all these other distributions, which everything is done. So they're only accepting certain kind of movies.
Exactly, and so that's what
they are the gatekeepers. There's a filter that they want to feed.
Right.
They have an agenda of what they're trying to feed from the black community, for the Jewish community, for the white community.
Right.
So until blacks and
that's why movies like the Black Panther
are
so important, not only to the black community,
yes,
but to the American community as a whole, because it portrays black people in a very strong, profound way, rather than showing them as thugs on the big screen.
But let's be honest, a lot of people didn't want that movie to happen like that, because for the longest, you didn't want to see the black guy in charge doing that, because now you're looking at you're looking at it as a cultural thing that can change the world. And this is what I truly believe, that, and I think it's an idiot way of thinking, but I've heard people say this, that they think that black folks are trying to take everything from the white folks. No, black folks don't want to take I don't want to take anything from you, Ryan. I just want what I work for. I want to be given equal opportunity to get and have what I want, because this is the American dream.
But you understand that that's a very loud minority opinion.
Yes.
And so when somebody's being very loud and they're yelling, that tends to get a lot more attraction because it's so loud.
Right.
And even though you might not agree with it, those who are silent, or the silent majority, don't really want to, counter that, because they don't want to get involved. They don't want to have that controversy.
Because we're talking, what's the common denominator that keeps everybody either running their mouth or quiet? Money. So if I talk too much, I'm gonna lose my. I mean, with Donald Trump, our president, let's be honest. There are people that vehemently disagree with the president that's working for him.
Yeah. In
Congress and as the state representatives and Senate and everything. But my livelihood is at stake.
And they keep their mouth shut.
So you're doing what you got to do to protect yourself, right? Because of Donald Trump. And when Donald Trump came out and said, "Make America great again," this is why black people say, for who? Because when you look at Donald Trump administration, when you see him on TV, it looks like you're making America great for who? White people.
Right.
It doesn't look like a melting pot in his administration, because if you got white folks sitting in office, making the governing our country, let's just be real. If there's not a black person in the room, you're going to try to govern for people like yourself, because the decisions, when I make a decision.
Yeah, but you yourself has said that if Donald Trump has come to you and said, Joe, I want to put you in a position in my White House, you would refuse that.
Yes.
Now, that's a situation that I think probably a lot of black people would be in agreement with you. I don't want to work for this man because of the perceived racism that he has.
Not just that, but he's not going to hold his word. When I say you don't hold your word with people look just like you, I know what your ass is going to do for me.
But you would have an opportunity to at least have a portion of the ear of somebody within that administration.
Not with Donald Trump. Not with President Donald Trump. No.
But I think that that's a problem with the difference between having a conservative versus a liberal environment, is that minorities tend not want to get involved with the conservatives because they don't think that they're looking out for their best interest.
If this was President Bush, if it was President Reagan, I would go in a heartbeat, because at least I know that we can work on something. With this president here, he's throwing his own people under the bus. He's constantly throwing his own people under the bus. So if he's throwing his own people that he voted into, he elected to come work with him and firing them, bro, ain't no way in the hell I'm gonna go work for the president. I wish him the best.
Yeah.
I want that president to be, to make America, whatever his goals are. So I want you, because if America's good, I'm good. But when I go work for our president, I respectfully have to decline.
See, if Barack Obama came asking me, I would go, even though I'm polar opposite on his policies. I would hope that by having a dissenting point of view.
Would you go work for this president?
I would, just for the experience, and I've said that.
Okay. Like I said,
just for the experience. I don't agree with him, but I think that the experience of being within that environment and seeing some of the inner workings would be beneficial in the long run, regardless if I'm there for 3 months or 3 days.
The social cost, the social equity of me going to work for President Donald Trump for the experience is way too high.
But that's different because you're black and I'm white.
Exactly. There was no way in the world I could explain to my community or my family why I went to work for President Donald Trump, knowing what I know about this guy, knowing how he handles his business. Again, I wish President Donald Trump the best. I don't want anything, I don't want to say anything bad about him, but I disagree with the way he handled a lot of things. Yeah, I think a lot of his problems that comes up now, some of it in that situation with Starbucks, it don't have to go down that way. A lot of things could be a lot more calmer now in America if he just handled them a little bit differently. Because some of the stuff he's doing actually is working.
Right.
However, it's being overshadowed by the antics that is going on with all this other stuff.
But is that done on purpose? Because you've brought that up. And you have said something.
Donald Trump is smart as a fox.
But you had said something several weeks ago that you thought that he was the person that was leaking information.
Some of it, yes.
And we learned something yesterday about Mike Pompeo going to a secret meeting with Kim Jong-un that only a very handful of people knew about.
Right.
And Donald Trump being one of them.
Right.
And Mike Pompeo is up for confirmation for National Security Advisor.
I thought he's going to be...
Secretary of State. Secretary of Michael... He's having a hard time.
Yeah.
Because, some people, he's pro-life.
Donald Trump plays chess.
I'm agreeing with you 100%.
It popped in your head, didn't it?
I think, after this situation, because the other ones didn't make sense. This made sense because he's trying to get somebody. So I think you're right. I think he's the leaker of some of this information.
And here's the thing that people have to realize. I'm an entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneur, Bryan.
Yeah.
Now, let's go to get out of here because I know people got other things to do tonight. But Donald Trump, I'm going to sum him up in 2 words: chess and checkers. He plays both.
Oh, yeah.
Most people play only on one or board. Donald Trump plays on both boards. So you don't really know which board he's on when he's making.
No. He plays both games on the same board.
Yes. But
that's why it's so damn confusing.
But he got those strategies in his head.
Right.
And so, I got a chess move. I see it here, but I got to do checker move first.
Well, even this book that James Comey had written, which is salacious and it is its own thing. Even he said that Donald Trump has a well above average intelligence.
Yeah, he's not dumb.
Yeah, no, Donald Trump's not. And
he has an end game.
He knows what he's doing. But guys, I guess just let us know what you think in the comments. Let's continue this conversation. Let's continue the love-hate debate on Starbucks and boycotting. Yeah. And I guess really it kind of boils down to more racial relations in America, because we did have another instance in Georgia where a 71-year-old attacked a pregnant black servicewoman. That's to me, that was more clear racism than what was going on up in Philly.
Right. We'll get a chance to get into that day, but there'll be more issues, y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope the sound was better, because I guess it was, and the video was better. We got a new studio now, so you guys stay locked in. Catch us Saturday, Bryan. We got Dr. Drew.
I know, I'm so looking forward, but we're also are doing some debating with local politicians.
We're going to ask them questions. We're not going to really debate them, but we got the district, I think it's District 1. We got the city council, not city
We got
council.
sheriff.
We got the sheriff on the thing. Anyway, Ronda Robinson and I are actually going to be doing that debate The political forum is actually what it is. Saturday, 5 o'clock to 6. And then from 6 to 7, we got Dr. Drew coming in. So you guys definitely stay locked in for that. And of course, we got our Rate My TV show next Monday. We got Kimberly Clark, the owner of the Magic City Surge.
Oh, she's going to be on.
Yes.
Because she stopped in studio, and that was really that was really entertaining and informative of how she acquired the Birmingham Surge.
So if you didn't get a chance to hear the story yet, I don't know what she looks like. Check out my TV show on Monday nights on Alabama Cable Network, ACN. If you guys don't have on Charter Cable, you can catch it on AlabamaCableNetwork.com. Share this video. We need you guys to share this video to keep growing this show. Thank everybody for chiming in today. Go follow Bryan at
Bryan Peeples on Instagram and Twitter, and the Bryan Peeples on Facebook.
And follow me at Joe Lockett Show on everything social media. It's Joe Lockett Show. So we hope you guys enjoyed this show. You guys have a great night. And Bryan, cheers, my friend. Even though you're drinking Starbucks. All right, guys, we love you. Have a great night.
Later, guys. Be able to choose, and